What is up, NorCal? Or as I should say, hey, NorCal. It's Ashley, and it is Monday, June 27th. So Jason's on vacation. We're having a little bit of connectivity issues with him, so he'll be joining us a little bit later. But I am going to do some shout outs from the past weekend, right? All right, so we had Norcal Carters in Pat's Acres, okay? We had Eric Doan, Kason Hodge, Alex Rentala, Christian Cameron, Steven Iceberg, question mark, Steven Iser, Scott Formanek, Jim Kidd, Aaron Farhadi. Not quite sure. Michael, confirm this. Michael Ting, were you there? And did you win tires? Question mark. Hey. But yeah, so Speed Sense, GFC, Aluminos, all representing NorCal. Also, SCUSA was happening down south. I know for sure Mike Gwash was down there, Mason Mitchell. I didn't really follow SCUSA that much this weekend because I was following our NorCal drivers in Pat's Acres. So put it in the comments if you were at SCUSA, if you know anything about the SCUSA event. Mike Wash was there, Mason Mitchell, shout out. So Jason's gonna come in and give you a recap about the swap meet when he gets on. And I guess I'll just get this party started. Our guest tonight, and I read all of this on the internet, so it must be true. It's all true. Chase Sand is a 15-year-old American kart racer, an RPG, that's Rollison Performance Group, which is an elite national team driver. He's the 2021 SCUSA and Rock Winter Champion. Again, he's a national ranked driver and a 3-time PCKT champion. And he's from NorCal. Everybody, I'm going to introduce Chase Hand. What's up, Chase?
Hi, how's it going?
All right, so introduce yourself. Comment on all of those things that I just said. RPG, SCUSA champion, rock champion, all that stuff. Tell us about it.
Yeah, my name's Chase, and the last couple of years I've been racing go-karts pretty hard across the country, every single race that we could go to. I've been racing with Ralston Performance Group, one of the best karting teams that you can get in the country, and had a lot of success last couple of years. Ran junior last year, picked up a couple championships earlier in the year in the winter series, and ran strong throughout the whole year. This year I moved up to senior, still running with Ralston Performance Group, running the United States Pro Kart Series this year. Not running the SCUSA Pro Tour because it interferes with some of my dad's NASCAR Cup races at the road courses, but been running pretty good this year. And next race is in 2 weekends in Road America. Hoping to get another win there.
All right. Well, we wish you the best of luck. And okay, so we're going to start with the warm-up question. Well, actually, even before our warm-up question, let's talk about who your dad is and what NASCAR, and Jason's here too on vacation. NorCal Carter's in the woods. All right, Chase, go ahead.
Yeah, so my dad's a professional race car driver. This year he's running the NASCAR Cup Series road courses, but previously he's run um, IMSA sports cars. He's won the 24 Hours of Le Mans. He's run DTM. He's basically run every single type of motorsport short of Formula One. Um, and he's my idol, and he's who I look up to.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so with your dad having his career in NASCAR and all that stuff, did you grow up around racing all the time, or was there a time where you don't remember any sort of racing or anything like that?
Yeah, I definitely grew up around racing. He owned a karting team, Cartel Motorsports, when I was young, and I grew up around it. He also owned the kart track. He owned Prairie City kart track. But for a while, I wasn't. I'd go out to the track and drive maybe 2 times a year, or like 2 to 3, 4 times a year, and I wasn't that interested into it. I was playing baseball, soccer, basketball, every sport except racing, really. And then when I was around 10 years old, I decided that I wanted to drop basically all those other sports. I was playing baseball pretty hard back then. I said I wanted to commit to racing. And ever since then, it's just been full force ahead, going straight as hard as we can into
Awesome.
racing.
And then we have this guy here, Phil Hand, a NorCal celebrity as well. How do we know? How do you know Phil Hand, Chase?
So Phil is my uncle, and he's the flag man at all the local races, KPX, Prairie City, Davis, Dixon, basically everywhere you go up here. He's the flag man every weekend.
SUSA Pro Tour.
Yep. All right. So big shout out to Phil. What's up, Phil? Okay, Jason.
Yep.
So while we got you, tell us about the swap meet and then we'll get back to Chase. Sorry, Chase.
So the swap meet out at Prairie City this weekend. Those that were out there, it was, let's say, warm. just in case people look at the weather and go, "Oh, it was too hot." I mean, it was definitely warm. Shout out to Preston Lambert. He was out there helping me and sweating his, off, moving stuff in and out of the trailer. But yeah, it was pretty busy all day long, so I didn't really have a good chance to walk around and do any videos or anything else. But there were probably about 10 individual sellers, not including myself with extra cart parts. And Donald Durbin at Prairie City Karting had a bunch of carts rolled out. From my kind of unofficial poll, six carts were sold yesterday to new people that are or older people that were getting back into the sport. So those used carts are getting out of the garages and back on the track. So that was good. Let's see. Yeah, and those are just good networking events. It's great for people that are just looking at karting and have no idea what racing carts are. Because if you come to my pit and you're looking around, you're going to see older carts that. And I was very honest with people. I said, "Look, do you want to race this weekend?" If they said yes, I go, "I'm not the guy. Go talk to Donald." If you don't want to race this weekend, you just want to go out and practice, I'm your guy because I can get you in a cart for $1,500. So I think we need to do more of these, at least 4 a year. And if you're a local track out there and you want to do a swap meet, get a hold of us. They're great networking events.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Get a hold of us on NorCal Carters, all of our social media.
Yep.
Okay. So, Jason, we have Chase Hand here. Chase, we introduced him already. We talked a little bit about his accolades. He runs with Ralston Performance Group. He's the SCUSA Rock Winter Champion, nationally ranked driver, and he's from NorCal. You just came in when he said that when he was talking about his dad, Joey, and him growing up at the track. Okay. So now
Okay.
you're caught up.
Now I'm
Now,
caught up.
all right, now let's get Chase back. Hey, Chase, thanks for pivoting with us. Okay, so warm up question. Let's talk about How many friends have you made in karting? Any shout outs, anything, anybody you want to say what's up to on the show?
Yeah,
I thought we were going to talk about baseball.
Okay, I'm gonna mute you in a second.
I've definitely made a lot of friends in karting. Yeah, like especially locally is where I've made most of my friends. Well, I mean, I have friends everywhere, but some of my first friends from karting were Trent Healy, Steven Iser, Bowden Barnwell, who I talk to like on the daily. Um, I have a bunch of other friends everywhere across the country.
For sure. And that's what's great about karting too is um you get to meet people in different parts of the country and different areas, so you build relationships with these people, and um it's great seeing it and seeing these friendships form. And yeah, okay, look, we have comments. Oh, there's our friend Kai Sorensen. Oh, he said, "What about me?"
Yep, Kai also.
Shout
I haven't
out
seen him
Kai
in a while though.
Sorensen.
I don't know. He's doing a lot of mountain bike stuff. I don't know where you at.
Yeah, Kai, you're supposed to come on our show too. So let us know. Look, Chase is doing it. Okay, so back to you, Chase. Do you have any plans for driving in the future? The career route, anything like that? Or since you did say that you were into other sports, like, are you going to kind of go a different way?
Yeah, I'd love to have a career in motorsports. I'm not exactly sure which area I like want to have a career in yet. I love IndyCar, love NASCAR, love basically every single type of motorsport. Not decided on where I'm going to end up yet.
That's awesome. All right. And we do have a question right here. Chase, what advice would you give to Travis Mitchell when you have a limited amount of money to follow your dream? Travis has told me how much, and I'm assuming he enjoyed racing with you.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you in NorCal here with how strong the four-stroke racing is, it's still one of my favorite types of racing. I think it's really good. Um, like yeah, the four-stroke racing at Prairie City, even the club races, there's 20 plus people in the class, and the racing's just as good in the top five as you're going to get anywhere else in the country. Um, I think if you can race any other series locally in California, it can get you a good start. Like the pro kart races in LA or the whole pro kart series is a good start also, just because a lot of those people race across the country nationally, so you're still going to have the same amount of competition as going and racing anywhere else.
True, true. All right. Next question. I see that you posted in a late model. How's the transition from carts to cars been? More difficult or less?
Yeah, it's definitely way different having suspension and a full body. It's definitely a lot different, and especially since they're just going in a circle, only left-hand turns. The car handles completely different to a cart. You have to be much slower in a car. As in a cart, you could just be super aggressive, like on the wheel, and it'll just basically go where you want. And in a race car, it takes time. Like it rolls, and it just with the suspension, it's much different than a go kart.
What's more enjoyable?
I don't know. And I've driven a go kart for so long. It's it's like I won't say I guess you could say I could almost do it like blindfold at a track like Prairie City, where I have a ton of laps at. So it's muscle memory, and it's always fun start learning something new like driving a late model. But it's I don't know. They're both really fun.
All right, Chase. So something we were actually asked about is race day mentality versus practice day mentality, and how you sort of decipher between the two. Like, kind of going into practice saying, okay, this is practice, versus like training your brain for a race, and what do you do differently for a race mentality wise than practice?
Yeah, on a practice day, normally I feel like you're pushing like the go kart not to the max of its ability. You don't want to wreck or anything on a practice day. You're probably running like 90 to 95%. Like, and then on a race day, you're trying to get as much out of it as possible, especially in qualifying. You're pushing it to like 110%, getting as much out of it as you can. And you're just pushing much harder on a race day, right on the edge of making a mistake, trying not to, though.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you, Chase. What is it? What is it? I'm trying to do it with Noah. What is it like to be Joey's kid? But being that your dad has such a storied history in NorCal, um, how do you find your own way to create your own name and create your own niche?
Yeah, it's definitely difficult because you're always gonna be associated with my dad, so it's a hard shoe to fill. So serious. Yeah, it's definitely difficult because everyone knows him, and he's like, "Well, your dad's Joey Hand, so you should be able to do this too." And it's definitely difficult, but I feel like I'm getting there, trying to find my own way. How to do it.
They're trying to find trying to find your own way. Yeah, and again, I didn't want to ask the question from the standpoint of the sportscasters always like, oh, what's it like to be this dad's kid? But it's like at
The
the same
Dale
time, it's like,
Jr. question.
yeah, exactly. Or any other sport where the dad followed the kid ahead or preceded the kids. But I mean, I see you guys out of Prairie City all the time, and it's really neat watching how hard the two of you work together. I mean, you're not an arrive and drive type driver. I mean, you just don't show up with your helmet and expect to have a good result. I mean, you guys are constantly working at the track, and just you definitely have a program.
Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, we put in a ton of effort. Like in the summer, sometimes, like going, for example, like a couple weekends ago or a month ago, heading up for the KPX race. We're at the track 2 days before, or the club race, whatever it was. We were at the track 4 days in a row. We practiced the Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday, or maybe it was just Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then we weren't happy, so we came back on Monday to do some more testing just to see where we made our mistakes and what we can do better.
So when you're in the seat that much, where obviously you're no longer trying to figure out what turns next if it's left or right. What are some of the things with all those laps that you have in at Prairie City or any other track with a lot of laps? What are some of the things that you kind of stop thinking about and next time you go to the track, okay, we're going to work on this? And how important is having thousands and thousands of laps in order to get to that next level?
Yeah, it's nice because you can really focus on changes to the go-kart or the engine or whatever. You don't really have to worry about the track side of it. You really, when you know the track that much. But when you're at a different track, it's difficult because you have the other variable of the track learning, and you could be doing something wrong in the track. But you think that you have it right down, like which engine's your best, which carburetor's your best, but then you second guess yourself when you have to test it again, and then we go back and forth, and we're there all day trying to figure out what the optimum setup is.
Yeah, so you guys aren't just throwing money at track days. You actually have a plan, you have a focus, and this is what we're going to work on, and this is what we're going to. This works or it doesn't work. Okay, next.
Yeah, for sure.
Chase, do you work on your own cart?
Yes, just not recently, but in the past year, I've like my dad was he wasn't able to make it to Rock the Rio last year, so it was just me, my grandpa, and my grandma, and we had two entries to it's Rock Vegas. We had two free entries from winning championships or races. So we were going to run both classes, but my dad couldn't make it. So it was just me, my grandpa, and my grandma. So we were just going to run 100cc. But then we kind of got it. We were pretty fast in 100cc, and we already had the under entry paid for. So it wasn't like we were. Well, it wasn't paid for. It was free entry from Challenge of the or from Cali Rock Challenge. So I convinced my grandpa. So I worked on the cart, like got it all ready, and then we got one practice session in, two practice sessions in, I forget, and we were fast. First session out, my grandpa said you had to be top 5 in practice first time out to have a chance of running it, and then we were top 5 in practice, and then we put it on pole in that class after not wanting to run it or not going to run it because my dad wasn't there, and ever since then I've been working on my go-karts when my dad's not here or when he doesn't have the time to.
Nice.
I'm pretty sure I heard this from your dad, and he said never tell a race team you can spin a wrench.
Yeah.
And the reasoning was it's harder to find a good mechanic than it is a good driver.
All right. Chase, do you have any like workout routines or eating habits that you follow to get ready for like a race weekend, or like how do you prepare? What do you do?
It's not just really for the race weekend. You want to try it just to stay in shape. Like every week, I I need to get better at it, but I don't work out that much. Maybe one, two, 3 times a week. Um, just trying to stay fit for a go kart or a race car. But definitely, I try to eat healthier leading up to the race weekend, just so I'm ready and feel good for the race weekend.
Yeah, Jason's favorite question to ask. Jason.
My favorite question to ask.
Yeah.
When you're on the road or you're traveling to and from racetrack, where do you like to eat?
It really depends on how late you're at the track. Sometimes it could be if you're at the track till 8, 9, then it probably ends up being fast food. But when we travel to races across the country, we really eat at sushi and Mexican. I like sushi. Well, I hardly like sushi. I like California rolls. So I go across the country and eat California rolls at different restaurants, and then me and my dad both like Mexican food, so we try to find a sushi and Mexican place everywhere we go.
Interesting.
And then maybe an Olive Garden every once in a while.
So just in general, sushi with a good California roll and good Mexican food.
Yeah.
What about locally in NorCal? Where's your go-to for on a track day,
or
after a hard test day?
Normally, if we're just testing at Prairie City or racing at Prairie City, we come home and eat. But we also have a good sushi place and Mexican places in Elk Grove and Sacramento that we go to. It's like our go-to places.
And so all your fans will swarm you at those places. What's the name of them?
So our sushi place in Elk Grove, it's called Umai Bar and Grill. It's it's in Elk Grove, and then we have a couple Mexican places we go to. El Jardín Mexican restaurant is in Elk Grove, and Plaza del Sol.
They have a solid Cadillac margarita.
I feel like I've been there too. All right, so both good places recommended. Okay, let's see. Next question. You kind of talked about this earlier. Non-karting activities that you do, that you still do, or anything away from the track. What do you do away from the track?
Yeah. During the summer, we do a lot of swimming at our house. We have a pool. It's always a good activity to do. It's good for you. And uh, then I also play some video games with my friends, uh, like every night and stuff. I play. My sister plays softball, so she plays softball, travel ball, all around NorCal, and they are going to LA in a couple weeks. So I help her practice sometimes, like catch balls and stuff.
So speaking of your sister, I actually sent this text over to Ashley. What, earlier today, Ashley, or yesterday? I'd like to do a sibling show, a siblings of a kart racer. So
Yeah.
you brought up your sister and how she's into the whole softball thing. I always find it interesting when you have one kid that's so hardcore into kart racing, and then you just have the other kid that's out at the track, and it's like, oh, what is that kid into? It's like some of them are just into their iPhones, and others are into the whole soccer, softball, horseback riding, whatever. Um, so if you're a sibling of a kart racer out there and you're listening to this, send Ashley an email and say, I want to be on that show.
All right. What drivers do you watch, Chase? Like you talked about Indy, you talked about NASCAR. So who do you follow? Who do you who are you interested in on race day? Who are your picks on race day?
Yeah, obviously my dad is pretty high up there in whatever he's driving. Um, yeah, in IndyCar, I'm always rooting for the Ganassi cars because my dad used to drive for Ganassi. So Scott Dixon's one of my bigger picks in IndyCar. In NASCAR, my dad, when he's running the road courses, is always at the top. But Kyle Larson is from Elk Grove also, so it's always you can't not root for someone if they're from your same town.
Yeah.
Kevin Harvick is also one of my top picks because we see him at the go-kart track with his son racing sometimes.
Yeah. Another California guy.
Yeah.
Kevin Harvick. All right. If anybody has any questions for Chase, go ahead and put them in the comments. And another Chase, what is your most memorable win that you have?
One of my most memorable wins. There's a couple of them. Last year, early in the year, I it was it was raining in Ocala, Florida, and I started ninth, and I drove from ninth to the front, passing a bunch of people in the rain and going on to win um, two classes that day. I ended up winning. That was the 125 Rock GP class. That was pretty stacked field. I was really pumped to win. It was my first 125cc win. Then I also won that same day in 100cc VLR Junior. So that was a really fun day. But a year before that, in 2020, at Sonoma here in NorCal, I started second, and I got ran over on the start, and I fell back to like 20th or 15th, 20th. I was like 15 seconds behind the leader, and I drove back through the field and caught the leader with 2 corners to go on the last lap, and made the pass for the win. And it was just crazy wrecking on the start, thinking you have no chance of coming back, and then being able to come back for the win.
Yeah, for sure. That
A couple
sounds
years ago,
incredible.
though, you had a couple of weekends like that where it's just like you were fast. Something happened in qualifying or a heat race, and you ended up at the back of the field. And honestly, that's kind of how I remember you over the past couple of years, is driving through the field. And I mean, there were a few that you didn't get on the podium, but it was pretty impressive that you came from the back multiple times, and you were right there in the top 5. And if you had a couple more laps, it would have been a better result. So kudos to you for not giving up and charging hard through the field.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's how a lot of my races have been like last year. And
Yeah.
all of the big races, SCUSA Pro Tour, USPKS, I end up like getting shoved back and falling back to 20th or so, and just fighting right back up to just short of the podium, and sometimes getting back on the podium. But it just sucks when you're so fast and you get shuffled back, and then you're right there in the fight, and you just need a couple more laps, and you'd be up there fighting for the win. But
Yeah, and I don't think people realize how hard it is in those spec clutch classes, where the engine performance is very similar. It's not like you're horsepowering around people. You got to earn it, and you got to drive through the field.
Yeah, my dad always tells me, no matter what happens, just never give up. Keep driving as hard as you can, and you'll make it. You can get back up there. Before the start of your race, he tells me that. And if you're in that situation, then you put your head down and just keep putting in qualifying laps, passing people as fast as you can, and you can make it back up there.
Yeah, so good job over the past couple of years on that.
That's great advice as well. So speaking of advice, what advice would you give for like a new karter, still like learning the basics, and trying to figure out this whole karting thing and how to follow the fast guys? Like, what advice do you have for like the new karter?
Yeah, definitely when you're just starting or just done a couple of races, it's definitely laps. All you have to just do as many laps as you possibly can. Go to the track as much as you can. Just get laps in, and then once you feel comfortable at like one track, you want to be versatile, so you want to go to your closest other tracks to just learn a new thing, and just keep doing laps and laps until you can focus on other stuff like the go-kart after you know that you are driving the best you can.
So do you ever find yourself, being that you have a lot of experience with different tracks, do you ever find yourself at a new track and you go through a corner or a segment of corners and you go, oh, that's kind of like Dixon turn 1, or this is like Prairie City turn 4? And does that help you kind of piece the track together because you've been to so many different tracks?
Yeah, you definitely can make references to other tracks, like this seems like this corner from this track, but a lot of the times the surface is very different, so it can handle different. But yeah, it's definitely, you can reference, say, yeah, this feels like this corner from this track.
So speaking of surface, what's the not to like, I don't want you to like completely just destroy a track, but from a surface standpoint, what's the worst track you've been on? And why? And why was it the worst surface you've been on?
I can't really think of one, just like bumpiness wise. Buttonwillow is pretty bumpy, but the track we're going to in a couple weeks, Road America, it's just a different surface. It's not necessarily bad, but it's just different. Like the air pressure is all weird compared to other tracks. Yeah, a lot of the NorCal tracks are pretty bumpy in comparison to some of the other tracks that you race across the country, and they're just smaller. But there hasn't been really.
Did you ever drive Marina?
Oh yeah, Marina's pretty bumpy.
And then as a driver, how do you adapt? again, you have the advantage of your dad, who also has a very extensive karting career. But how do you adapt as a driver to? Do I make a chassis change, or do I need to figure out the track surface first? And how do you adapt to that?
Yeah, you really just get used to it when you do more and more laps. You definitely want to figure out the track before you go after chasing other stuff, because you can be losing so much time in just driving the track before you want to go and change engines or change setup on the chassis. You just want to drive it, get used to the track, and then go from there.
So, and what is your favorite NorCal track, and what is your favorite overall kart track?
Um, NorCal, Sonoma is a really fun track just because for NorCal, because it's a little bit bigger. I mean, I can't ever go wrong with Prairie City. It's a little tighter, so it's, to me, Prairie City is pretty fun in a four-stroke. But when you get past when you get up into two strokes, going faster and faster, it gets a little crazy, but it's still fun at Prairie City. And one of my favorite tracks across the country, I don't know. I like a lot of the tracks. Newcastle is a really fun track. I really like Newcastle, Indiana.
Newcastle, yeah, that's
Do you have
beautiful.
any bucket list tracks that you like really want to race on?
Um, Not really for kart tracks, just because I've been to a lot of them now in the past couple of years. That, like, previously 2 years ago, I would have really wanted to race anywhere across the country, like Newcastle, Utah. But now that I've raced there, I don't really have that many more tracks to go to.
Have you been to Shawano?
No, I have not.
No, I don't even know if they still operate racing events out
I think they do for the, like, four-stroke races, like CKNA races there. I'm pretty sure.
there.
I've heard it's a really fun track.
Yeah, I've never been there, but I've heard the same thing. And the videos on YouTube make it look like a roller coaster.
All right. So another question, what do you hope could make NorCal more competitive locally?
I don't know, really. Donald Durbin at Prairie State is doing a really good job pulling a ton of entries every club race. Um, it's just that a lot of the NorCal tracks are just, they're not operating that much. They're not having club races really. Only real places having good, decent club races are Sonoma and Prairie City. Like, Davis doesn't really have a strong club race. Dixon doesn't really race. Shasta, they don't have a club race. You have to really go to Buttonwillow. You have to go south to get many club races or races besides Prairie City and Sonoma.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of a tough thing too, because here you are with Prairie City in your backyard, Sonoma's in your backyard, and all the top drivers do the exact same thing. They look at the entry list and they go, okay, who's racing where, or they're sending each other messages and gets, oh, are you going to Buttonwillow? Are you going to Rock Sonoma? Where are you guys going at the next race? And for you top drivers, you just want to race events against the fastest kids.
Yeah, I think definitely if Sonoma had a four-stroke class, then that would really pull a lot of entries. People really want to race there. But it's just hard because it's been such a rock-dominated place and Levanto and everything. But I think there would be a lot of people that would go to Sonoma and race four strokes.
Do you think a lot of people would go to Sonoma for Briggs on Levantos, or would it have to be the current NorCal MG tire?
I mean, I think it would be difficult for a four. If Levanto made a 6-inch tire, then it would be something that people would like to try. I just don't know how the four strokes would handle with less horsepower. With more, Levantos tend to have more grip. I don't know how the four strokes would handle and the carts, but I think people would be willing to give it a try just to run Sonoma because it's such a fun track.
All right. Someone's listening.
What's up, Steve?
That's our friend Steve Cameron from Sonoma, Rock Sonoma. All right, and we have a shout out for Chase. Ridgely, our friend Ridgely said hi. Hey, Ridgely, we're here too.
Yeah, but we're not Chase.
All right. So, Chase, what? Okay, so back to like most memorable win question, but let's do it for your dad this time. What is your most memorable win of your dad's?
I don't really know. I mean, it's always fun when you go to a race, when you're watching a race, when he wins. I think the last time that he won a race when we were there watching him and supporting him was Laguna Seca a couple years ago in the 4GT and for the IMSA race. It's always fun because you have family and friends there watching and supporting.
And it's a nice place too.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, that's home track. Home track for the home kid. Yep.
All right. Oh, Steve Cameron might be able to make something happen for that. Oh, all right. You heard it here, folks. Steve Cameron's
Four-stroke West Coast Nationals coming to Sonoma. And I just made that up. So is there anything you want to cover, Chase? Is there something you want to get out there? Plug your Instagram channel or YouTube or whatever you're doing nowadays. Give yourself a plug.
Yeah, I guess.
Sell yourself.
You can follow me at Chase Hand Racing on Instagram, and you can watch my YouTube videos on Chase Hand on YouTube.
And what are you doing on YouTube? Are they just race recaps, or what are you doing there?
Just onboard videos from race weekends, or with sometimes, depending on the race, you can have like the commentary in the background from e-karting news or whoever, or some practice days maybe sometimes. Now some race car stuff I'm posting, like from the late model and the Legends car.
All right, we'll share.
And we have a question coming in from our buddy Gear Nuts. So Dan's asking, any pool with your dad letting you try an IMSA car for a few laps?
I maybe in a couple of years we'll see what happens, but it's always been like a dream or like something you'd want to knock off the bucket list. I want to like drive the 24 hours of Daytona or something with my dad.
I don't know. I'm having a thought here that your dad's still very competitive. It's like I don't know if he'd want to lose his ride to his kid. That would be pretty cool, though. That would be like a cool story. And I always say that because Joey's out there. When you guys are on test days, there's many times he's out there mixing it up with you on the track.
Yeah, we're preparing for racing, or we can go back and forth practicing.
So I know I'm going to get two answers for this. So if Joey's listening, Chase, you answer the question. But if Joey's listening, he's probably going to chime in. At Prairie City, I don't care what layout. Who's faster?
Oh.
I mean, in the last couple of years, we've been close when we go the same weight, same tires, and everything. We've been able to run similar lap times. I feel like I've been able to edge him out sometimes, but there's times where he's been faster. But I feel like lately I've been able to go faster.
Have either of you just used each other up and sent the other one into the wall?
No, we've rubbed a little bit, but we haven't wrecked too hard.
You have a no bent chassis rule in the team?
Yeah, it's probably better that we keep the chassis straight so we can come back next time with
There you go.
great chassis.
Let's
That's
see. We
great
have
advice.
David Welsh is chiming in here. Do you have a favorite race platform?
What do you mean by race?
David, is that for like iRacing or what is it? What's clarify that question for us, David?
Oh, Joey is listening.
I still win the fight. So Chase,
All
this is
right.
when you say, "But I'm going to win the war."
Oh, and then, all right, we're waiting for David. David, please clarify in the comments so we can have Chase answer your question. Kimberly, I would love to see you and your dad in the same ride for the 24 hours.
Yeah,
Is that like ultimate dream?
yeah, it's definitely on the bucket list. We've talked about it in the past. Just it would be really cool to both drive the same car and race 24-hour race Daytona.
Well, if you look at a lot of different sports, I can't really think of very many where it actually happened. Like it's even possible. Like in a lot of at professional level sports, except for maybe in motorsports.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be awesome. All right.
Okay, so David Welsh, he was referring to karting platforms. 206, X30, KA100 shifters.
Yeah, I think.
What's your favorite platform?
It really depends on the track. At Prairie City, I've come into like the 206 at Prairie City just because it's a little bit smaller, and it's a little tight when you get up in speed. But I don't know. I haven't driven. Yeah, it really depends on the track. I enjoy running both everything. I mean, you can run 206 and K8 at most tracks, and it'd be fun. It's undecided for me.
All right. Another question I kind of think is along the same lines is 2-cycle or 4-cycle, I think is what he was trying to. So do you prefer 2-cycle racing versus 4-cycle racing? I think is what he was.
Yeah, I like the way that 4-strokes race. The racing is, I think, better almost because it's close racing. You're never gonna be. It's really hard to pull away from somebody in 4-stroke racing, and there's always tends to be more people. Especially NorCal. Yeah. But when you go to other places like Newcastle, they race 4-strokes and 2-strokes there. I haven't done a 4-stroke race at Newcastle, but the racing it's not as good. It's the 2-stroke racing is kind of getting a little not dirty, but I just don't like the way they drive it. They all depend on blocking and defending, and I still love 2-stroke racing and 4-stroke racing. For me, it really depends on the track.
So we have another comment. It's someone by the name of Natalie Hand. It wasn't even a question. It was just a comment. 4-strokes for life. Oh, wait, that's me.
Yeah, my mom was a 4-stroke racer.
So maybe she can clarify because she's not talking when she says 4-stroke. She's not talking about Briggs and Stratton 206. I think what were they, flathead Briggs, I think, back when she raced? And those things were like bad fast. I mean, they were on par with the Sportsman KT100 as far as lap times.
All right, we have another question too. It says, when you going to bring your 80 shifter car out? and run some of the NorCal 80 Shifters Series races.
Yeah, whenever we're free, I'd love to, but for now, I don't have a clutch cable on my 80 shifter, so I can't start or stop, or else I'll stall it. But when we get a clutch cable on there, maybe I'll come out and run some 80 shifter races at Prairie City.
Well, they're going to make you start in the back anyway, so you could just do circles behind the grid till they get the green flag.
Yeah, I'll just be rolling up slowly from the back, and then
There you go.
When they throw the green, I'll just go.
All right, that sounds like a plan.
And that's the video we want on YouTube.
Okay.
Chase doing circles.
All right, Chase. So, what are your plans for races this year? For the rest of the season. Where are we gonna see you at?
Yeah, we're a little bit lighter this year on just races overall because of conflicts with my dad's races. But in 2 weeks, we're running the whole United States Pro Kart Series. This is a national series that runs across the country. There's two more rounds left. We're gonna run that series, try and go for a championship.
Do you know where they are?
Yeah, so the next one is in Road America, Wisconsin. It's in the big track of Road America. It's right next to it. And then the final one is it's at Newcastle. So 2 tracks I like and I've run pretty strong at last year. So maybe we can grab a couple wins, hopefully.
Good. I was going to ask if you've had experience on there, but yes. All right. Good news. Good to hear. Anything locally?
Oh, go ahead, Ashley.
Yeah. We're going to run any races we can that don't interfere with those at Prairie City Club races or KPX races. And then we're going to run the Vegas races, hopefully, for Supernats and Rock Vegas. And then whenever we can fit in some late model races or Legends car races, maybe we fit some in also.
All right.
So following up with the USPKS stuff, first of all, good luck and go represent NorCal out there. But then secondly, how do you feel like with the kart chaser guys? How do you feel that they're elevating the exposure of karting? Being that Xander and those guys are focusing on the national level drivers, you're going to the series that Kart Chaser, is live streaming. What's your feelings about that, and how do you think it helps promote the sport?
Yeah, I think it's really cool. It really helps all your friends and family watch they don't have to be at the track to watch. They can see just as good or even better than watching from the side of the track. It definitely helps grow the sport, I think. And it's just, I think it's really good for the sport. It's going to help it grow. It's going to grab more people in and grow the sport more.
And then for you being a racer, transitioning from karts to cars, trying to find that car ride, do you think that's a platform or a tool you could use to help, buff up your resume or CV or whatever people call it nowadays?
Yeah, especially if you're running in the front and then everyone gets to see it. It's good for it gets people to see you and how well you're doing. So if you win a ton of races and they're covering it or whatever, I think it's definitely going to be helpful.
Yeah, and that I had a double-edged, sworded question only because we don't want to see kids like you move up to cars because then, karting loses a great talent. But then at the same time, we want to see kids move up to cars because it really reinforces how great a karting career or a karting background is to help you propel through the ladder.
Yeah. All right, Chase. Any final thoughts, shout outs, anything you want to cover before we go?
Not really. Just thank you guys for having me on here.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for coming.
All right, what team are you racing for?
For what?
for karting?
Ralston Performance Group.
All right. What chassis are they on?
They're on OTK Cosmic Karts.
All right. And then who's their engine builder?
So the engines we're running are their Comet Racing engines.
Okay. Anyone else you want to give a shout out to?
Sponsors.
I want
Maybe your dad for driving you
yeah,
to and from the
I was just
track,
gonna say
and
that.
and
wanna
like
thank
spinning a bunch of wrenches and changing your tires. Maybe
Let
that
him
guy.
talk, Jason.
Yeah, my mom and dad are definitely huge supporters and helped me along the way a ton. And Mike Ralston at Ralston Performance Group, it's been really helpful to help me with all these big races, and I wouldn't be here without any of them.
All right. Well, our friend David Welsh is going to join me in saying thank you again for sharing. Thanks for a great night and some great answers to some great questions. All right. Thanks, Chase. We'll see you later, okay?
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Have
you,
a
Chase.
good night.
Bye.
All right.
Am I closing us
Jason,
out? No, are you closing us out?
I can close. Just you say what you got to say, and then I'll wrap up.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in tonight. And I apologize. I combed my hair this direction and not this direction. And Ashley's going to send me a mean text about the shirt I'm wearing. But thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show with Chase Hand. And like I said in the middle of the show, if you're a sibling to a Carter and you'd like to have your own show, send Ashley a quick email to norcalmondays@gmail.com. And we're also working on a form, so you can fill out your own form and drop suggestions to us for your own shows in the future. And next week, it looks like Ashley and I are going to take the night off because it's 4th of July weekend. And with that being said, just remember, if we all get one person into the sport, we'll double by next year.
All right. Thanks, Jason. Okay, so like Jason said, next week is 4th of July. So we are going to be taking the night off. We'll be coming back on July 11th for the OTK Chassis 101 episode presented by Speed Sense Motorsports. Again, our upcoming show lineup, we're going to have the girls show. We're going girl drivers show. We're going to have another juniors show. We're going to have a masters show coming up. So again, there's a link on our Facebook page. It says be on the show. Fill that out. And we'll let you guys know. If you want to talk about karting, come on our show. Peace, NorCal. We'll see you on July 11th for OTK Chassis 101 presented by Speed Sense.